My name is Kiria Marie, and I am a happy part of Anna Lowe's clinic and her Happy Health Institute here. I am, okay, got it, Maria. Thank you. No questions. That works. I am a nutritionist, and I work as a nutritional consultant and a health coach and as the community outreach coordinator for Anna Lowe. And it is such a pleasure to do so. So when I had the opportunity to do a webinar with all of you, this was the topic that came to mind because it's been super duper popular in our Happy Health Community Facebook group. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. We are here for Keto 101, as you all know, and this is just a little bit of the overview here. So I wanted to make sure that you had this so that you know where we're headed today, but we're going to first start with defining the ketogenic diet. Then we'll jump into the top 3 benefits of it. And then we'll tell you exactly what to eat and what not to eat on this keto diet. You will not be left in the dark. We'll give all that information to you. And then a few of our favorite keto recipes. We'll share all of those links with you and get you excited about cooking in this style. And then lastly, we will debunk some of the keto myths. This is a super popular way of eating now, so I want to make sure that you have all the information so that you can be empowered if you choose to try this out for yourself. And then lastly, we will tell you how to get started. So, moving right on in here, my name's Kiria Marie, and I will be your guide today in this webinar. And I want to ask you these questions. So, do you want to increase memory and cognition? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to promote heart health? Do you want to decrease inflammation? Do you want to improve energy levels and sleep? So if you would like any of these things, I would love to see some yeses in the box there. Go ahead and type in a yes if this is something that you're interested in. I want to make sure that I'm talking to the right people, that you guys are all in the right place here. So let's see. And for those of you who are watching on Facebook, go ahead. I'm watching there as well, so feel free to use that comment feature if you're on our Facebook group. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes. Awesome. We all want to do that. And just so you know, there's an option to private message me. I know some people like to keep their anonymity. That's fine. I see both the private messages and the public ones as well. So of course, right, I assumed that we were all going to say this. That's why we're here. And we are going to talk about these benefits in more detail. Before we do that, I want to introduce my story quickly to you all, just to let you know I know what it's like to have health challenges and to suffer. Right after I graduated from University at UC Santa Barbara, I jumped into a more than full-time public school teaching job. I moved out to the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, did this program called Teach for America, and I loved my students and I loved my job, but I was working to the bone and I was so tired all the time and so stressed, and my blood sugar was going up and down. My mood swings are up and down. I developed eating disorders like binge eating, and I literally would just have a giant cup of coffee for breakfast, skip lunch because I was tutoring students, and then I would go home and I would eat whatever I wanted to because I was so sad and so tired and so hungry. And you can just imagine the cascade of health issues that went along with that. So I started to have my hair falling out. I developed acne. I gained a lot of weight. I was depressed. It was not a pretty picture. And I knew that this wasn't what I wanted to do in the long run. So that's what brought me to functional medicine and functional nutrition. And I'm happy to say that I've made it through and I've come out on the other end. So now I work as a nutritional consultant and community outreach coordinator for Anna Lowe and the Happy Health Institute. And I'm able to snorkel again. I'm able to have fun, volunteer with baby elephants, go backpacking, run half marathons, you name it. And I've dedicated myself to this practice. I've gotten degrees from these universities that you see here, and most recently my master's in health education as a holistic nutritionist and health coach. So all this to say, I've been there before too, and I am dedicated to helping people use nutrition to have a happier and healthier life. With that said, I want to assure you that once you transform your diet, specifically this is research that has to do with the ketogenic diet, you will lose body fat, have more energy, I believe you'll be less stressed grocery shopping and cooking, and you'll feel more joy when you're eating because you know what you're going to be nourishing your body with. There's also research that says the keto diet reduces the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and that you'll have less hunger. Plus, I would say that you're an inspiration for your loved ones as you fully live your life. So does any of this sound good to you? Are you interested in learning more? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we got some love on our Facebook group. Good. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty details of the keto diet, I want to point out the elephant in the room, right? So it is true that proper nutrition can help transform your health tremendously, but really for best results, we recommend working directly with a functional medicine practitioner, right? This way they can do your functional labs, they can get your health story, your history, they can learn about your genetics, your family, and they can really help tailor your diet and your lifestyle so that you'll get the best results. But even if you do nothing else besides just follow the advice that we're going to share in this webinar, you'll get some pretty good results as well. So moving on in here, the top 5 leading causes of death. This is based off of a research study that was done in 2014, so a few years ago, in non-metropolitan and metropolitan areas. And you can see 4 of the top 5 are heart disease, cancer, chronic lower respiratory disease, and stroke. So the research says that all these 4 are highly influenced by your diet, right? By your nutrition, your environmental factors, your stress, your lifestyle, all of those things. So this is to point out the importance of a healthy diet, whether you choose keto or something else. The food that you eat, right, the fuel that you use for your body has a dramatic impact on your entire life. The 5th one here is unintentional injury that actually happens in hospitals. So part of the theory is that if we can help prevent you from getting in the hospital in the first place, then actually a healthy diet and healthy lifestyle can help with all top 5 leading causes of death. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to define the keto diet. You'll learn how it can be beneficial for your health, and you'll know exactly what to eat and what not to eat should you choose to try this out for yourself. So are you ready to jump in? Can I see some thumbs up? I like being super energetic on webinars. I know we aren't in the same room together, but I just want to make sure that you're all with me. We're all here together. Type yes in the chat box or in the Facebook group if you are ready to jump right in. Yes, 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 100%. Awesome. Love the private messages and the emoji. Very good. Okay, then we are going to do it. Surprise, you are not alone. So can anybody guess what you have in common with Gwyneth Paltrow, LeBron James, and Kim Kardashian? Can anybody guess? Go ahead and type it in there. Let me know, what do you think you have in common? Yep, keto diet. Kind of gave it away with the title of the webinar, right? But absolutely, all of those celebrities and even more like Katie Couric and Megan Fox, they're on the keto diet. So clearly it helps make some people very, very beautiful, but it also has all these amazing physical benefits that we're going to talk about next. So first off, what is the ketogenic diet? So a keto diet is essentially a very low carb, high fat diet that turns the body into a fat burning machine. So it has many proven benefits for weight loss, for health, for performance. You name it. There's so many positive effects that it has on the body. So really, it's important to remember that the keto diet is low carb to the extreme. So followers of a common version of this plan source 75% of their daily calories from fat, 20% from protein, and just 5% from carbohydrates. So that doesn't mean that they're eating donuts, right? That you're just eating all this super fatty food. We're going to talk exactly about the essential ingredients and nutrients and food that you want to make sure you're having in your shopping cart and on your plates with every meal. But it is important to recognize that having this high fat percentage in your diet is what it takes to move the body into ketosis. So all it takes is a few days of eating this way for the body to enter ketosis, which essentially means that the body starts burning fat instead of glucose or carbohydrates for fuel. So most people are in a state of burning carbs or glucose or sugar as their fuel state. But when you go through the work and the transition period of starting to burn fuel as fat for your body, that's when you get a lot of these amazing benefits. And we'll talk more about this in detail. But essentially, it's low carb, high fat. Low carb, high fat. So this is a food pyramid here for our visual learners. It kind of breaks it down really nicely so that way you can see what your calories are represented as. So again, it's not that 70% of your plate is, a whole stick of butter. It's talking about the caloric intake of energy that you have each day. So you can see all the healthy fats are like olives, are like ghee, are like coconuts, things of that nature. 25% of protein, and really it's so much better to have small amounts of high quality protein as opposed to large amounts of, a giant steak at Sizzler or a Big Mac, McDonald's, things of that nature. When we're talking about high quality protein, it's important to recognize that's things like pastured eggs or pastured chicken or small amounts of grass-fed, grass-finished beef or wild-caught fish, wild game like elk, venison, bison, liver, things like that. And then 5% of carbohydrates. So you can see at the tip top of that pyramid there, it's talking about your nuts, your seeds, your leafy greens, your low-carb vegetables, things like that. So this is a good image to have on hand. We will send you the recording of the webinar afterwards. So I know some people like to take notes during the webinar. That's great. But do rest assured that you'll have the recording on hand afterwards so you can reference it as much as you like. So moving right along here, the top 3 benefits of the keto diet. Number 1 is no surprise. So it's losing weight. This is one of the main reasons why people are initially attracted to the keto diet, but then they learn all the other health benefits and they start to experience their brain health and, their energy states and things of that nature. And that's what usually keeps people on this way of eating. The ketogenic diet is a successful option for losing weight because when the body uses fat for fuel instead of carbs, it puts the body into a state of ketosis. And that's what we were talking about earlier. So that allows the body to break down fat into ketones, and it is that energy consumption shift that produces the weight loss. So again, most people are in a state of burning sugar or carbs as their source of energy. It does take some time for the body to switch over into ketosis. It's almost as if you can imagine those cars, most cars use gasoline to run, right? But there's some cars that have this shift where they can actually run off of like fat, like the oils from fast food restaurants in the area, and they can use that to run, which has all these benefits for the environment. But essentially your body is doing something similar where it starts burning fat, and that's why people lose weight. The second main benefit of the keto diet is that it curbs your appetite. So it takes a couple of days, but then you will find that you are in control of your appetite. And that's because once your body's 2-day supply of glycogen or your stored glucose diminishes, you can make that switch to primarily burning fat. The fancy word for that is lipolysis, and that suppresses your appetite. So Dr. Atkins, right? I'm sure a few of you have heard of him. He's been pretty popular in the diet world for some years now. But this is a pretty interesting one because I know a lot of people, especially people who work a lot, who are really stressed out, who have blood sugar issues. Sometimes people are just hungry all day long. But when you get into this state of ketosis and you can start burning fat primarily as your main source of energy, you're actually less hungry because you're more satiated. Again, if anybody has any questions throughout, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A, but feel free just to type them in the chat box and we can talk about it as well. So reducing the risks. This is the third main benefit of trying out the keto diet. So when you're eating more carbs, and this is what most people in America, right, the standard American diet is really high in refined carbohydrates and sugar. When you have more carbs in your diet, you have more glucose in your bloodstream, and that leads to higher insulin production. So when you eliminate carbohydrates from your diet, the body no longer stores as much glucose, which then prevents the body from producing too much insulin. Thus, that helps your body to maintain your blood sugar levels at optimum level, which is a really, really great benefit for those of us who are concerned about brain fog or concerned about energy levels or sleeping well or having healthy hormone balance, things of that nature. So when we can eat a healthier diet and we can reduce some of the serious risks that we talked about earlier with the top 5 causes of death, it just makes it that much more motivating to really stick with healthy nutrition. So to eat or not to eat, that is the question. I want you all to know exactly what keto diet exists of, and we will talk about this in detail. So what's on the menu? Everything you see here is on the menu. Looks pretty delicious to me. This is based off of the Keto Summit Online, which is kind of like the Bible of the keto diet. It's a great resource for anybody who wants to learn more. But essentially what you see is what you get. So non-starchy vegetables, that's going to be a lot of your zucchini, your kale, your chard. A lot of those green leafy vegetables are the perfect go-to. Berries. The keto diet doesn't include that much fruit because a lot of fruit is really very high in sugar. It does come with good vitamins as well, but you can get so many of those same vitamins from vegetables without the sugar. So berries are an alternative because they do have some sugar, but very, very low. And they have so many good benefits when it comes to antioxidants and good vitamins. And who doesn't love berries, right? Throw a little bit of berries and some coconut yogurt for breakfast and you are set to go. Meats that we talked about before, organ meats have a lot of good nutrition. Peas, green beans, healthy fats. So your ghee, your coconut oil, your olive oil, that's going to be a main go-to because fats are 75% of your caloric intake. Nut butters, bone broth, vinegars, shellfish, seafood, everything that you see here. So there's a lot. There's actually a lot. And the more you get into it, the more that you see how much variety you can bring into your diet. So again, for our visual learners, here's a nice graphic here that you can see. Primarily on the bottom, we have those fats. We have the healthy proteins, our healthy fats, lots of non-starchy vegetables, as much as you want of that. Really, our non-starchy vegetables are so low in calories that you can have that be the primary base of every plate that you're eating. And then you can see for people who can tolerate dairy, a little bit of that is okay as far as the keto diet is concerned. And then your nuts, seeds, and berries. So this is all good options here with the keto diet. And then, of course, there's some things to ditch, right? So I know maybe those French fries or that popcorn or that candy looks really, really yummy, but to the body, you need to remember that all of that just equates to sugar, which is glucose, and that's going to knock you out of the state of ketosis, and you want to stay in that fat burning state here. So essentially all sugars, all grains, most fruits minus the berries that we talked about, and all processed foods. So again, sugar, 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 sugar. This is what your body sees, and this is not going to help if you're trying to get those benefits that we talked about of losing weight, right? Of helping to reduce some of the serious risks that are out there in our society today, and even of being able to combat constant hunger, right? Being able to get a tame on that. So these are the things that you don't want to be eating on the keto diet. And then again, carbonated drinks like sodas or alcohol, processed foods, most processed foods include sugar and are pretty, refined carbohydrate rich. So I will warn you that there's people out there who want to make money, right? And this is how marketing works. And the keto diet is gaining more and more popularity because of all of its health benefits. So I do want to warn you against those packaged food products that you'll see at the grocery store or maybe online, wherever you do your shopping, and they say keto snacks, and you look at it and it says, coconut, and then it says cane sugar as a second ingredient. Just make sure that you have your detective goggles on, and whenever you're out there shopping, it's really best to DIY or make stuff yourself as much as you can, and I'll include some healthy snack recipes later. That way you can feel empowered when you start trying this out for yourself. But just know that not everything out there is that trustworthy, unfortunately. But we'll set you up for success here. So moving right along, favorite keto recipes. I'm not going to be able to share all of the ingredients and exactly how to do these recipes on the webinar just for sake of time, but I promise I will follow up with an email and send you every single recipe that we talk about, and then you'll be able to try those at home when you desire. But for now, I'm just going to get you to start salivating and get excited about how delicious the keto diet really can be. So starting with the most important meal of the day, this is breakfast. So those look pretty good to me. If I was going to have a breakfast party, I think that my guests would be excited to eat these. And these are just a couple more ideas. So the first one that we saw was a crustless mini quiche. And they do this primarily with eggs and then some really yummy herbs. And it's so fun because you can just put it in a little muffin tin and then pop them out. I used to make these when I was teaching, and then I would just have them all week long. So if you're going to do a big breakfast party, obviously it's a fun thing to have, but also if you're just going to meal prep for yourself on Sundays, you can keep these in the fridge and then pop them in the toaster oven just that morning, and then you can have a healthy snack on the go. Or maybe you don't even have time for the toaster oven because you're so busy, so you just grab one out of the fridge, put it in a little Ziploc bag, throw it in your purse, and then you have a healthy snack. It's one of my favorite things to do. The second one that you see here, the top left-hand corner, is a rainbow chard and sausage hash. So this one's really delicious too and super filling. It's a fun one to have in a cast iron skillet. You just throw the whole thing in the oven. Super duper yummy, and it turns out really beautiful as well. And then there's also a recipe I'm going to include that is a maple sausage patty. So, you just cook up a whole bunch of chard or kale, zucchini, have a nice foundation of green vegetables, and then put these homemade sausage patties on top, and they are so, so yummy, melt in your mouth. That's not enough. We're going to talk about lunch now. And there's a few recipes that are my go-tos. Again, I'll send all of these to you right after the webinar so you can start experimenting with yourself. But the first one is a crisp salami and cheese recipe. And this one is so, so, so good because you can actually just make it ahead of time. And you can have it in your fridge and it stays really, really fresh. So that's a good one. If you can tolerate dairy, I'd recommend that. The other one that you see here, the top right-hand corner, is a mini pepper nacho. So bell peppers are super fun to do this with because instead of, corn tortilla chips, you can just put some grass-fed ground meat in there with these spices, a little bit of cheese, and then top it off with, some jalapenos if you like it spicy, or avocados. And then you just pop it in the oven, let it melt for a little bit, and eat it, right? The best thing for Monday night football or maybe a snack for the kids after school, things of that nature. And then the one that you see here in the top left-hand corner is a cauliflower fritter. So it kind of tastes like a hash brown. It has that same texture, and you can really do it, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And it helps to satiate when people are craving like potato chips or something kind of crispy, kind of greasy, but it's a really healthy alternative. So dinner time. I know that especially with the holidays coming up, sometimes people don't know what to do if they're having a dinner party or if they're going to a potluck. They don't really know, what the best thing is to eat or to bring. And one of the best tricks, if you're going to a dinner party or going to a potluck, is to bring something, obviously delicious, but also healthy, that if you had to at all costs just eat that, it's a good way to come prepared and also to help spread good nutrition with your loved ones. So these are a couple of my go-to recipes here. They are really, really yummy and of course beautiful too, right? Because you want to be eating things that look good as well. So this sausage fried rice is in the top right-hand corner, and this is actually made with cauliflower. So you're making me hungry. Yummy ideas. I know, I'm getting myself hungry too. But yeah, this one is a good one. And now it's almost dinner time too, but if you use cauliflower and you put it in a food processor, it gains a similar texture and consistency to white rice. I know it's really common now that you can find it at Trader Joe's or even Costco, and you can find cauliflower that's already been processed into really, really small pieces. And then add in some sausage, add in some chives, add in some bell peppers, and you've got a yummy, delicious dinner all in one bowl. And then this one here on the left is a stuffed manicotti. So it kind of looks like it's bread, right? Or like it's gluten or like it's noodles, but it's not. They do this with a grainless flour. And then they have a bunch of yummy spinach in there and a little bit of cheese if you can tolerate that, a little bit of tomato sauce on top. It looks beautiful. It tastes great. You're set to go. And then I'm also going to email you my favorite keto lasagna recipe. So the fun thing to recognize is that it's possible to take a lot of your favorite foods, and what we like to say is we swap and upgrade. So if I'm working with somebody and their favorite thing is, chocolate chip cookies, then we find a way to swap and upgrade that. So we'll change it and we'll make a new recipe that's more anti-inflammatory and more health promoting. So if any of you, once I send you the recipes, if there's another recipe that you'd like to see, then just let me know, and I know that I will have a happy, healthy alternative for you. So have no fear. This is delicious and healthy all at the same time. Speaking of delicious, best for last. So these are go-to desserts. You can absolutely still have dessert on the keto diet. Thankfully, so many people have made the move to healthy eating, which now there's so many healthy recipes out there that can soothe your sweet tooth, and even that of little kids too, but they don't have all the sugar in it. So this one here is Mom's Texas Brownies, and they're actually grain-free and low in processed sugar, and they just look so good, right? I mean, if you made these for somebody, they probably wouldn't even know that they were quote-unquote keto, but they would just be so happy that you gave them these delicious brownies. This one here on the top left-hand side is a no-bake cheesecake, and it certainly melts in your mouth. It is so, so yummy, full of happy, healthy fats and chocolate, cacao, but without so much of the added sugar. This one's nice because you don't even have to bake it. You just make it, you whip it up, and then you just pop it in the fridge, and then you get to eat it. So a lot of these treats are fun because you can just keep them, make a big batch maybe on the weekend, and then you can have it in your fridge and you can snack throughout or share it with friends and family. Everybody's going to want to be your best friend. And then I know I was just talking about this, but I do actually have a keto chocolate chip cookie recipe that is so, so good. Even Santa would be happy. He wouldn't give you any coal if you left these keto chocolate chip cookies, I guarantee. So moving along, one of the main benefits, as you know by now with the keto diet, is that it helps to satiate your hunger. But in the beginning, the first couple of days, you might still have a little bit of tummy rumble, right? You might still feel a little bit hungry. So we're going to make sure that you have some happy, healthy snack ideas. This one here is homemade apple chips. They don't really recommend that you eat a whole bunch of apples on the keto diet, right? Because they are higher in sugar than berries. But every once in a while, it's absolutely fine to have some apples. They essentially, you really, really finely slice these and then pop them in the oven on a low temperature for a long amount of time. And then they become these crispy little apple chips that are so, so good. Just put a little bit of this with some almond butter, healthy fat, healthy protein, good snack to keep you going for a couple of hours, and really, really easy to keep in your purse or your backpack if you want to, snack throughout the day. A couple other ideas. The one on the top left here is a vanilla pumpkin seed cluster. So you can see primarily it's just pumpkin seeds, but then they have this really good recipe for a little slightly sweet sauce that you use to help it stick together. And then you just clump it up. This one you can actually keep in your fridge for up to a week. You can make a whole bunch of them, put them in your freezer, take them out of your freezer, let them defrost in the fridge. As much as you can do to keep yourself prepared ahead of time, especially when you're trying a new diet or you're going through a transition, it's really, really wonderful to have lots of healthy snacks on hand, on deck. That way you don't, run to the Snickers bar or whatever is closest because you're hungry. So you want to make sure you have these snacks ahead of time, if possible, handy in your fridge or freezer. The one on the top right-hand corner is a soy sauce marinated deviled egg. And deviled eggs are super popular, especially for potlucks or parties, right? Primarily, it's just egg. And if you're getting pastured eggs or, free-range organic eggs, then they even have more nutrients, and they're just delicious too. The one thing I would say is make sure that your soy sauce is gluten-free. So if you're getting like a tamari or something of that nature, then that is a much better bet, because often in sauces, we can accidentally get contaminated with gluten, and that's pretty inflammatory. It's going to knock you out of the keto diet. You don't want that. So just make sure you're reading your nutrition labels carefully there. So I want to move on now into debunking the keto myths, and I will definitely send you all of those recipes, so have no worries about that. But as the keto diet has gotten more and more popular, there's been more myths that have started to develop around that. So I want to just bring them to everybody's attention out in the open, and we'll take them on one by one here. So myth number one, go back to this one here. Myth number one is that some people say, really the brain needs glucose to maintain healthy function, and a keto diet does not provide that. So we know that there's always some naysayers out there, and sometimes people just have honest questions, so that's definitely okay. But with this one in particular, the brain needs glucose to maintain healthy function, and the keto diet's primarily fat. How is the brain going to have enough energy to sustain itself? The truth is that most people are aware that the brain is powered by glucose, but most people don't actually know that it can also run on ketones, and that ketones might actually burn more efficiently with less waste. So if you let that sink in for a second, what it's really saying is that once the body has become more fully keto adapted, the brain actually gets, according to research, up to 75% of its energy from ketones. And that's huge, because then the remaining 25% of glucose needed by the brain can still be obtained by processing your dietary proteins and carbohydrates. So you're still having some protein and some carbs on the keto diet, right? It's not 100% fat, but just knowing that your brain can actually run more efficiently when you switch over into a healthy state of ketosis is a really, really nice thing to recognize. Myth number two here. Myth number two, a ketogenic diet is not nutritionally sufficient for proper vitamin absorption, which results in dangerous vitamin deficiencies. So the truth is that most people are on a standard American diet, right? Most people are eating sugar, alcohol, processed fats, refined carbohydrates, things of that nature. Most people are already extremely vitamin deficient. But if you're eating whole foods, so if you're staying away from those packaged, healthy, quote unquote, keto products, and you're actually eating whole foods, vegetables, small amounts of high quality proteins, berries, a lot of really good healthy fats, then really you're going to get the nutrients that you need from those foods, and you're going to be in a state of lower inflammation, and you're going to be able to process those foods, which means you'll be able to absorb the nutrients from those foods more efficiently. So really it's a win-win all around. Myth number three. This is the last one here, but these are the top three that are just the most important that I hear again and again. So this one is when people say that a ketogenic diet raises cholesterol, which could increase the risk of heart disease. So this is actually one of the biggest myths associated with the low-carb ketogenic diet, and it's based on the lie that saturated fat and cholesterol cause atherosclerosis and heart disease. And really, there's never been any scientific study published or unpublished which links cholesterol and saturated fat directly to heart disease. And of course, the best fats are things that come from nuts or nut butters or seeds or avocados, clean oils, right? Things like salmon or other lean meats. So you want to make sure that you're eating those. If you are eating, donuts or potato chips or peanut oil or canola oil, things that are deep fried, that's not the type of fat that we're talking about, right? So we're talking about those lean, healthy fats that are full of all of your healthy omegas and your essential fatty acids. That's going to support your brain health, and that can actually help support against diseases and risks, including heart disease. So just to bring those to your attention there. Lastly, I'm going to help you get started. So for those of you who are interested, I know some of you are already experts in this and you want to learn more. Some of you have already been asking questions in our community group about this diet. And then some people are just curious. But if you choose that you want to flirt with this a little bit more, you want to get started, you want to try it out for yourself, then this is what we would recommend that you do. You need to first and foremost be aware of the side effects. So as you transition into any new diet, any new way of eating, even if it's healthier, your body's going to go through some changes, and those might be detox changes. There's a few symptoms that you can expect, and these include fatigue, sugar cravings, dizziness, difficulty focusing, or maybe even brain fog, nausea, difficulty getting to sleep, irritability, and stomach irritability. So you may very well be asking, why in the world would I do the keto diet if it's going to make me feel so bad? It's really important to recognize that this is most likely just your body going through a phase of detox. And that's actually really important to go through that phase and to get out of that phase. And then usually around week 1 or 2, maybe 3 for some people, they start feeling all of the wonderful benefits. So if you're really going to try this out, I would say give it your best shot for 2 weeks. See how it goes from there. If you're still feeling these symptoms, then definitely reach out to Dr. Anna Lowe, our health coach, Kim. I'm happy to help you as well as the nutritionist. You know, all of us are here to help you, and we would love any and all comments and questions that you have. How to survive the first week. There are some people who jump into the keto diet and they are like, oh my goodness, I've been reborn. I feel so good. I can't believe I've been missing out my entire life. This feels amazing. And then other people get this thing called the keto flu. So if you're one of those people who starts to feel some of those negative symptoms that first week, the best ways to combat the flu, the keto flu, is to add more calories. Because if you're coming off of a high carbohydrate diet, you'll need to add more calories as you transition to these leaner foods, especially if you're an active person. You'll also want to add more salts because your insulin levels will drop on the ketogenic diet. So when that happens, your body will not retain the excess water, thus it will lose sodium. So make sure you buy some sea salt if you're not already using sea salt at home, and feel happy to add sea salt onto your foods, or even you can sprinkle some in your water, because that is all the natural minerals that comes with sea salt is going to help you with your electrolytes and staying hydrated throughout this process. The next one is to drink enough water. So since you might be losing water on the keto diet, especially in the beginning, you might experience headaches or fatigue or nausea, especially those first few days. So you want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water to reduce those side effects. And last but not least, the most important is to add more fats. So this will give your body the added energy it needs while making the conversion from using glucose to using ketones for fuel. So easy: fats, calories, salt, and water. And if it's hard to remember all of those, there's one easy trick, and it's simply to add bone broth into your diet. So a good way to get many of the nutrients that you need that first week is to drink a nice warm bone broth, which has fat, calories, salt, and water to help carry your diet successfully through that first week. So I'll send you a recipe as well of how to make your own bone broth at home. This is so popular now that many of you have probably seen bone broth for sale in stores, and you can just buy it or from your local farmer's market. But if you just, buy your own bones or your own chicken or whatever you're cooking, and then save the bones from that meat, I'll include the recipe, but you could essentially just simmer that on low with some nice herbs, your leftover vegetable scraps from the past couple of days, and make this really nourishing drink. Or if it seems strange to you to drink just the bone broth in a teacup, then, of course, you can add in some vegetables or a little bit of meat and make a soup. But that's one of the easiest ways to cover all of those bases in one meal or snack. last but not least, do not forget to celebrate those victories. So check in along your journey and celebrate your successes, because what you're embarking on is not easy and there will be struggles along the way. So make sure you create a fun way to acknowledge your hard work by doing something special, right? Take yourself out to see a movie or a show, buy yourself a new CD, have a little dance party while you're cooking, one of my favorite things to do, treat yourself to a pedicure, manicure, facial, whatever it is, help to celebrate those victories. And if you want to check in or, schedule an appointment with Dr. Anna Lowe or anybody on our Happy Health team, we would be happy to help you celebrate yourself as well, because it's a lot of work to change your diet and it's no small feat, but just know that you have a whole support team here helping you along the way. I'd like to check in with you now and ask if you are committed to your best health. This is a question that I want you to sit with in your own heart of hearts and just ask yourself that. I would assume that you are, because you're taking an hour of your busy life to learn about a healthier way of eating that could help promote your health goals to the next level. If you said yes, then you are off and you are ready to go. So you have learned so much in the past 45 minutes of being together that if you just take all of this information and do nothing else except change a couple of things, you'll likely experience a lot of these good benefits that we're talking about. So we have definitely covered a lot tonight, and I want to applaud you for being here and for showing up. You've learned about all the ways that will transform once you change your diet to a healthier diet. You'll burn more body fat, you'll have more energy, you'll reduce the risk of diseases. You learned about the top 5 leading causes of death and how improving your nutrition can help to prevent some of these. You learn that you're not alone. You've got people like Kim Kardashian and LeBron James who are doing the keto diet and healthy eating right along with you. You know that a ketogenic diet is low carb and high fat. You've learned about the food pyramid and what foods are included in that keto food pyramid. You know the 3 main benefits, and the top is that you'll lose weight with the keto diet. It'll actually curb your appetite, and it helps to reduce risks of diseases. You know exactly what's on the menu. So your non-starchy vegetables, your berries, your healthy proteins, lots of healthy fat. You know what the keto pyramid looks like. You know what foods to avoid, those processed foods, that sugar, those, potatoes and those carb-rich vegetables. You learned about breakfast recipes, lunch recipes, dinner recipes, and of course dessert recipes, and even a few snack recipes to get you started and set up for success when you try this out this first week. You learned about the keto myths and how really this diet is so healthy for your brain and your body. You also know about the side effects, so that way you are prepared. If you feel any of these, you know that you're not alone and it will just last for a limited amount of time. And then you know how to survive the first week and to definitely celebrate your victories. So that was a lot there. And just to come back to the questions that I asked you at the very beginning, you want to increase memory and cognition, lose body fat, promote your heart health, decrease inflammation, improve energy levels and sleep. You all said yes. You want that. The keto diet is going to help you to obtain these goals. And I want to assure you that you can take this information and absolutely do it yourself. That's the goal of this webinar, so that you are empowered, you are informed, you'll get the recording of this webinar afterwards, you'll get all the recipes, you will be set up for success. And also know that you can take this information and work hand in hand with our expert team to ensure your greatest success. That way we can help to tailor this program and your diet to a lifestyle that best suits you. So a few bonuses here. Awesome. Thank you, Kim. So glad that you are here with us. There's a few gifts that Dr. Anna Lowe and the Happy Health team want to pass along to you. And the first one here is this incredible 14 Days to Health series. So if you sign up here at this link, annalowemd.com/14 Days to Health, Anna Lowe actually put together these 14 videos with the top questions that we get asked in the clinic, and they'll help set you up with 2 weeks of tons of information to help you on your pathway to better health. And then also, a lot of you are already in this group, but make sure that you've joined our Happy Healthy community on Facebook. This is where you'll get insider access to all of our free resources, our events, our future webinars. That's really, really a great thing to join. And then the next step, if you are interested in learning more and having a partnership to help you on your path, feel free to schedule a phone consult with Dr. Anna Lowe herself, and she can help guide you more of the way and tailor this specifically for you. So with all of that said, I want to say thank you so much for taking this time out of your busy, busy day to join in and tune in to learn a little bit more about healthy eating and how you can support your own happy, healthy life. And these are the resources here. If you would like to read more, to learn more, watch these videos, read these books, there's so much information out there on the keto diet. And this is just about the perfect time for some Q&A. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask them now on the Facebook group I'm watching if you want to write them in the chat box, or on our private webinar. For those of us who are in here, feel free to comment directly to me or publicly to the whole group, and I will be on here for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so answering questions. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to go back to this slide here for those people who are interested in learning more about what Dr. Anna Lowe and her Happy Health team have to offer you. And yeah, we'll answer some questions. Okay, so I got one private question here. Somebody says, those recipes look so good, but I have no idea how to make them. What do I do? Rest assured, I'm going to email those to you. There's about 12 to 15 recipes. And if you are registered for this webinar, then I have your email and I'll be able to email all those to you. If you are on the Facebook group, make sure you click the link and register so I can send those free gifts your way. Thank you for asking. They are delicious. Any other questions? Let's see. Okay, so somebody's asking, they have, let's see, I'm going to keep this private because it's another private question here, but essentially they said, I have type 2 diabetes and I'm interested in doing the keto diet, but I'm also a little nervous as well. So very good question, and thank you for sharing that. I would definitely recommend that you set up a free phone consult with Dr. Anna Lowe and gain her expert insight so she can guide you directly. As we talked about, there's a lot of research that says that the keto diet helps with maintaining healthy blood sugar levels in the body. So if you're already, in this position and you already know what you're working with, I would definitely recommend working hand in hand with a functional medicine practitioner, if nothing else, just in the beginning to get yourself set up. And so that way you have that professional oversight who can guide you along the way. But good question there. Can you suggest how to test when you are in ketosis? Yeah, so that's a really good question. And there's a couple different ways to do it. One of the most standard ways for people who are really, really into the keto diet is that they will have their own blood glucose monitor so that they'll check their blood glucose levels regularly. And this is like next level. If you're going to join the tribe, it's like a little nervous, a little nerdy. But if you have that and you actually check with your glucometer, then you'll be able to know, if you're in a state of ketosis or not, because you want to make sure that you're keeping your blood sugar levels down. And then another common way of doing it is testing through the urine. So you can do a urine test. You can actually just buy ketone urine testing strips. You can just buy them offline, and then you can, essentially urinate on them, and then it will show you if you're in a state of ketosis, because the ketones they'll pass through your body and you'll be able to measure them in your urine. So if you do those two things, just buy the little urine testing strips. They're, kind of like a fun way to do a pop quiz at home to see if you're getting the A+, or if you're, it's really easy to get out of ketosis. If you have one too many sweet potatoes or something like that that has a lot of glucose in it, then you might swing out of ketosis. But if you buy these little urinary strips or you use a glucometer, then you can help to track yourself and you'll just learn more about your health too. So That's a great question. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions here? Thank you. I think I read one is more accurate than the other. Um, I've read that too. I've read that there's different ways. When you get into the keto diet or you get too extreme into any certain form of nutrition, there's definitely their parties out there. Those are the two main ways that I have read about in the research. And I think the best thing to do is just to try it out for yourself. I believe that gold standard is the urine test to actually, pee and measure the ketones that are coming out of your body. If anybody else has intel into that, I'd be interested to hear what you think. But I think that is the gold standard to use the ketone strips. But it is also helpful too to see your blood glucose levels. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me check the Facebook group. It looks like all those questions are answered. Yes, less painful when you don't check your blood. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for joining us. That was such a pleasure to share with you. I'm so passionate about food and the healing properties of, the best nutrition for you. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can just reply to the email that I'll be sharing right after this webinar with all the resources, the free gifts, the recipes, the webinar recording, so that you can have all of that right at your disposal. And definitely make sure you jump over into our Facebook group and continue the conversation there. So if there's anything else I can do, let me know. And it was such a pleasure to share this time with you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening and take care. Bye-bye.